Michigan is investing more money for students to have healthy meals at school.
But that increase means schools may now lack the resources to respond when a life-threatening cardiac emergency happens.
13 on your side's Rick Dorsey looks at the funding dilemma.
Two House bills signed into law last year require schools to have comprehensive safety measures in place. That includes a cardiac emergency response plan, or a CERP. But after lawmakers cut funding for those plans during this year's budget process, many schools are now asking, how do we meet the state's requirements without the money to implement them?
Every public K-12 school, free breakfast and lunch. Kids learn better when their bellies are full. They are able to concentrate a little bit better.
Michigan legislation has increased funding for healthy school meals, but that means something else had to go. Michigan public schools are legally required to have a cardiac emergency response plan, known as CERP, but the state legislature has cut the dedicated specific state funding to implement it.
But that is the biggest bulk of that cost, is the cost of the AED. There's quite a few steps to implementing a CERP. A lot of that really is staff training, CPR, AED use, just making sure that the cardiac emergency response team is kind of in place.
That means funding for training staff to perform CPR or use an AED is no longer certain.
I think not funding something that you pass is really just an unbroken promise at this point. And I think that schools have been put in a very tricky position.
An active CERP plan keeps the entire community safe in the event of cardiac arrest in schools.
There has been more incidents of cardiac events, particularly, student athletes, not just with students, but if you have parents or grandparents at a school and they're watching, an event.
Looking ahead to the future, American Heart Association said they have three main priorities:
protecting the school meal funding, securing the CERT funding, and then our other big priority is that we know that there are going to be potential cuts to Medicaid and Medicaid expansion recipients.
Michigan Alliance for Prevention of Sudden Cardiac Death of the Young will host virtual workshops to guide schools through the process of becoming Michigan Heart Safe. Reporting in the newsroom, Rick Dorsey, 13 on your side.